Are you ready to hear about one of the most daring heists in history? Well, get ready to be shocked, because we're talking about the biggest bank heist in Japanese history. How did the robbers manage to steal a staggering amount of money without getting caught? What was the aftermath of the heist? And did anyone ever get caught? Join us as we delve into the details of some incredible stories and uncover the secrets behind the greatest bank robberies in Japan's history. So get ready for a wild ride. It's December 10th, 1968, and Tokyo is in the midst of a heavy downpour. But for the bank manager of the Nihon Trust Bank, the rain is the least of his worries. He's been living in constant fear for months, plagued by threatening letters and demands for money. And just when he thought things couldn't get any worse, he received a letter that sent chills down his spine. Composed of characters cut out from movie magazines. With the police watching closely, the tension is high and the stakes are even higher. But in Japan, work must go on, no matter the personal distractions. The tension is rising, this shocking tale of crime and tragedy. As the bank manager continues to live in fear, he's forced to carry on with his duties, sending his employees on a scheduled drop to the Toshiba factory. But things take a dangerous turn when the employees hear police sirens and are warned of the situation. Tragically, the manager's home is blown up, leaving innocent people injured or worse. And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, additional threats are made, specifically targeting the bank and its employees. The stakes are higher than ever, as the danger lurks around every corner. The situation was dire, but the bank manager knew he had to act quickly to protect his employees and the bank. He immediately notified the police and implemented security measures at the bank. Employees were instructed to be vigilant and cautious, and the bank operations were temporarily suspended until the situation could be resolved. Despite the danger, the bank manager and his team were determined to persevere and ensure the safety of their colleagues and customers. Will the police be able to catch the perpetrator behind these heinous crimes? Who is responsible for those threatening letters and violent acts? And what will become of the bank and its employees in the face of such danger? Let's find out. The police officer quickly motioned for the company car to be searched. As he began to inspect the vehicle, an employee noticed smoke and flames emerging from the car. Fearful that it was about to explode, the officer scrambled to get out of harm's way. Everyone ran to safety, taking cover behind the prison walls, waiting for the inevitable explosion. However, to their shock and confusion, the explosion never came. When they looked back, they saw that both the car and the police officer had disappeared. The team immediately called the Nihon Trust Bank to try to figure out what was happening. They were relieved to hear the bank manager answer the phone, confirming that he was alive and well, and that his home had not been blown up after all. It finally dawned on them that they had been the victims of an elaborate plot, one that had been in the works for months. The perpetrator had disguised himself as a police officer, successfully made off with the bonus payments of 523 Toshiba employees, totaling 300 million yen, or $6 million, the exact amount he had demanded in his threatening letters. It was a devastating blow for the bank and its employees, who had been living in fear for months. The police were immediately notified and launched a massive investigation, but the perpetrator vanished without a trace. Upon examining the crime scene, investigators found various items left behind, including a warning flare that the officer must have ignited while under the car to mimic dynamite. A staggering 120 pieces of evidence were left behind, which would typically be beneficial in an investigation, but in this case, it was done intentionally to mislead and confuse the investigators. Unfortunately, this tactic worked, and the case remains unsolved to this day, half a century later. Many regard this heist as the greatest in Japanese history due to its meticulous planning and execution by a single individual, resulting in no loss of life or bloodshed, but with the successful theft of the money. The Kobe Bank Heist. It is a common belief among many people that when a large number of individuals participate in an illegal activity, there must be links to a significant criminal organization. However, despite the sizable group of people involved in such illegal activities, no one of notable importance has been apprehended or linked to any such organized crime syndicates to date. Speaking of heists, one that stands out occurred in Kobe on August 7, 1994, where a whopping sum of 540 million yen was stolen from the Fukutoku Bank. The amount stolen was significant, but what sets this particular heist apart is the unexpected turn of events that unfolded after it was carried out. 10 days after the heist, the bank received a note from the robbers thanking them for the bonus. In an era where heists were typically executed with brute force and minimal regard for human life, this note was a unique gesture that stunned everyone. The message conveyed a genuine expression of gratitude, showcasing the famed politeness of Japanese culture even in a criminal context. It is fascinating to contemplate the circumstances under which the heist took place and the thought process of the individuals who executed it. Were they motivated by financial gain, or were they driven by a sense of adventure and thrill-seeking? What compelled them to send a note thanking the bank? Did they have a change of heart, or was it all part of an elaborate plan? The 7-Eleven ATM heist. There are many ways a bank heist can be considered great or notable. For example, on May 15, 2016, a thief withdrew 100,000 yen, about $880 in cash, from an ATM at a Tokyo 7-Eleven at around 5 o'clock a.m. This might not seem significant, but the thief repeated this process an astonishingly 14,000 times across Japan in just 2 hours. This audacious heist, known as the 7-Eleven ATM heist, resulted in a loss of over 1.4 billion yen, about $12.6 million, and remains one of the largest thefts in Japanese history. The thief was eventually caught and sentenced to 6 years in prison, but the heist still captured the public's imagination as an incredible feat of criminal planning and execution. A staggering 1.4 billion yen, about $13 million, was taken from ATMs alone. And it wasn't done electronically, it was done in person. While it had to have been a large coordinated group, the sheer number of transactions in a 2-hour frame made it seem impossible. Compared to other notable cases, the largest known recorded number of participants involved in a single heist would not have been able to pull this off without superpowers. Involving an even larger team would presumably be unwise, as there would be too many cooks in the kitchen. However, after the police painstakingly checked security footage from each 7-Eleven store, it was only 7-Elevens that were hit. They found their answer. In this particular case, more chefs made the heist better. It was not a team of 50, 100, or even 200. It was 600 people. These 600 people pulled off a sophisticated, highly coordinated heist using fake credit cards, which is quite a contrast from the single perpetrator of our first heist, the Imperial Bank heist. However, not all heists end well. On January 26, 1948, a ruthless bank heist occurred in post-war Tokyo. A man in his 40s walked into a branch of the Imperial Bank with 16 people, including customers and bank workers, just before closing time, resulting in the loss of lives. He claimed to be a government health inspector sent by the U.S. occupation authorities to carry out inoculations due to a sudden outbreak of dysentery in the area. Since dysentery was a legitimate threat in post-war Tokyo, the man was not doubted, especially since he was wearing an official government armband. He gave all 16 people a pill and a few drops of liquid to drink, which they quickly consumed. Unfortunately, the solution they drank was a cyanide solution, causing them to fall one by one in agony. With everyone incapacitated, the so-called health inspector calmly grabbed all the money he could find and left. Shockingly, 12 of the 16 people would later be confirmed dead, including a young child. What made this heist even more strange was that the man left behind a business card at the scene. The card displayed the name Shigeru Matsui, who claimed to be a health official from the Department of Disease Prevention. As it turns out, Matsui was indeed an employee of the department. However, he was not involved in the robbery, as he had a solid alibi that was confirmed during the investigation. During his interrogation, Matsui revealed that he had exchanged business cards with 593 people, which is a common practice among the Japanese. This information proved to be useful to the police, who were able to narrow down their list of suspects to just 8 individuals. One of them was Sadamichi Hirasawa, a Japanese painter. During the investigation, Hirasawa was asked to provide the business card of Shigeru Matsui, but he claimed that it had been stolen along with his wallet in a pickpocketing incident. However, the police suspected that he knew exactly where the card was. When asked to provide an alibi, he failed to do so, which raised further suspicion. Upon examining his criminal record, the police discovered that he had 4 prior convictions for bank fraud. Moreover, they found a sum of money in his possession that was suspiciously similar to the amount stolen from the bank. Hirasawa refused to disclose the source of the money, which added to the mounting evidence against him. When eyewitnesses were shown his photograph, they immediately identified him as the perpetrator of the crime. After intense interrogation, Hirasawa finally confessed to the robbery and the murders. He was subsequently arrested and sentenced to death by hanging in 1950. However, some doubts about his guilt lingered even after the trial concluded. All the evidence against Hirasawa was circumstantial, and doubts emerged about his guilt after the trial. His confession, which led to his conviction and death sentence, was allegedly coerced through torture. Furthermore, only 2 eyewitnesses identified him as the perpetrator, raising questions about the reliability of their testimony. Some believed that Hirasawa's claim of being a victim of pickpocketing was genuine, and that the unexplained source of the money found in his possession could have been from his side business of drawing pornographic pictures. This information, if revealed, would have damaged his reputation as an artist. Another puzzling aspect of the case was that there was no plausible explanation for how Hirasawa obtained the military-grade cyanide used in the robbery. Some have even suggested that the true culprit was a former member of Unit 731, a notorious covert biological and chemical warfare unit of the Imperial Japanese Army that conducted lethal human experimentation during wartime. If the true culprit was a former member of Unit 731, it would explain how they had access to military-grade cyanide. The doubt surrounding Hirasawa's guilt was so strong that even the Minister of Justice had reservations about his guilt and never signed the death warrant. This sentiment was shared by successive ministers of justice, and as a result, the death sentence was never carried out. Hirasawa remained on death row for 32 years, making it one of the longest tenures on death row ever recorded. He eventually died of pneumonia in a prison hospital on May 10, 1987. Despite the verdict, many people believed that the true culprit had escaped justice and that the focus should have been on someone else. The incident took place in 1948. Decades later, on January 25, 2018, a new type of heist emerged in Japan. The Tokyo-based cryptocurrency exchange CoinCheck fell victim to the largest cryptocurrency heist in history, marking a new era of cybercrime in the land of the rising sun. At 2:57 a.m., hackers disguised as authorized users were able to enter the system using overseas servers. They remained undetected for the next 8.5 hours, stealing 58 billion yen worth of the cryptocurrency NEM, equivalent to $530 million. The incident caused embarrassment to the Japanese government, which had been striving to make Tokyo the global center for cryptocurrency. CoinCheck revealed that they had failed to implement the required extra layer of security. Even worse, the stolen currency had been kept online in a hot wallet instead of a much more secure offline storage facility known as a cold wallet. This is comparable to a convenience store keeping significant amounts in a cash register rather than an off-premise bank vault. One of the stranger aspects of the heist is that the stolen virtual funds could be traced online, as transactions for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are public. The stolen $530 million worth of cryptocurrency was eventually traced back to 11 specific addresses. However, the identities of those sending and receiving the money remained anonymous, and no one has been caught yet. Nevertheless, the developers of NEM labeled the 11 addresses with specific warning tags that were visible to all, and they set up a tracking tool to automatically reject exchanges involving the stolen funds. It is frustrating that all of this could have been easily avoided if they had added the extra layer of security. Unfortunately, many people are too lazy when it comes to online security, and they use the same password for every account they have. The biggest bank heist in Japanese history may be over, but its legend lives on. The heist will forever remain a part of Japan's history, a reminder of the lengths that some people will go to for money. And with that said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, press the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.